3 Judiciary Democrats have been hit with ethics complaints over suspicious conduct. Nonprofit watchdog group Americans for Public Trust filed complaints with the Office of Congressional Ethics against these 3 Democrats. Madeleine Dean, a Democrat from Pennsylvania and one of the main promoters of the impeachment scam against President Trump. Also, Democrat Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who was another big promoter of the impeachment scam against President Trump and has attacked President Trump on other issues like immigration, at one point suggesting that reparations should be paid to families separated at the border. Also, Lucy McBath, a Democrat congresswoman from Georgia who just endorsed Mike Bloomberg's presidential campaign. So these 3 Democrat members of the House Judiciary Committee were hit with ethics complaints for engaging in suspicious activities, including campaign fundraising violations and soliciting financial contributions for their own legislation on social media. Americans for Public Trust, the nonprofit watchdog who filed the complaint, was formed by former National Republican Congressional Committee Research Director Caitlin Sutherland. The complaints allege that all 3 violated federal law and House ethics rules and calls for investigations into their conduct. So it's interesting, as I've mentioned, Lucy McBath has endorsed Mike Bloomberg's presidential campaign. This was a very important endorsement for Bloomberg as he's been struggling with black voters. He picked up endorsements from 3 black lawmakers to try to counter this, including Lucy. McBath's endorsement of Bloomberg is especially interesting given that the complaint against her alleges that McBath accepted millions of dollars in illegal campaign contributions from an action fund largely financed by Michael Bloomberg. McBath was employed by Everytown, this group financed by Michael Bloomberg, prior to announcing her run for Congress in March of 2018. The complaint states that she remained employed there for 2 more months and once appeared on TV as a congressional candidate and a spokesperson for Everytown. She also allegedly received money from the fund for her campaign during the time that she was employed there. Everytown reported in an FEC filing that they first began contributing to McBath's campaign in April of 2018. A quote from the complaint reads, "However, Everytown began spending in the election for Georgia's 6th congressional district while Representative McBath was still serving as the group's national spokesperson. It is not publicly known what level of involvement Representative McBath had in Everytown's expenditures against her eventual general election opponent while she was still employed by Everytown." They note that Everytown spent over $1.2 million in her primary race and over $3 million in her general election campaign. If Everytown's spending was coordinated with Representative McBath, it would constitute millions of dollars in illegal campaign contributions that were unreported, excessive, and prohibited by law. Corporate contributions to candidates are illegal under federal law unless they are donations that fall under strict rules, contribution limits, and are reported. The same complaint then goes on to lay out the allegations against Pennsylvania Democrat Madeleine Dean. In Dean's case, the complaint claims she used funds from her suspended lieutenant governor campaign in Pennsylvania for her Congress campaign. Dean announced her candidacy for Congress in February of 2018, 3 months after her campaign for the lieutenant governor position. With those prior funds, she made a congressional campaign website, paid for software for fundraising, voter contact, and reimbursed staff on her congressional campaign. Reusing those funds violates federal law, the complaint alleges, because campaigns for federal office must only use funds that were subject to the Federal Election Commission Contributions to a state campaign are not subject to the same reporting and contribution limits as federal contributions. The complaint then moves on to Washington Democrat Pramila Jayapal. In Jayapal's case, the complaint alleged that she violated House rules by posting social media posts and soliciting financial contributions towards a bill she introduced before the House Rules Committee. On April 30th, 2019, the committee held a hearing on the Medicare for All Act of 2019, a bill she introduced. That same day, her campaign solicited financial contributions from the public to keep momentum going for the bill. Those social media posts linked to C-SPAN broadcast coverage of a hearing for the bill and referenced the hearing, which was a violation of a House rule against using broadcast coverage of official House business for political purposes. Asking for contributions towards her legislation is another House rule violation. House members are not allowed to request money or other things of value connected to official duty. Fox article on this also points out how the House Judiciary Committee played a central role in the recently concluded impeachment inquiry and eventual trial of President Trump. The 3 Democrats flagged in the ethics complaints voted for the articles of impeachment as they were prepared for the floor. A statement from Wednesday says all 3 of these members have engaged in disturbing activities that appear to us to be violations of federal law and House rules. This is especially alarming given all 3 sit on the prestigious House Judiciary Committee, which has direct oversight responsibilities over the U.S. Department of Justice and, by extension, the nation's law enforcement. Jayapal, meanwhile, has been criticized by both parties before. Remarkable that while she wants Americans to pay reparations to illegal immigrants, yet at the same time, Jayapal herself refused to even pay her own interns until after they threatened to strike. Jayapal then finally agreed to pay her interns in the summer of 2018. The hypocrisy extends throughout the Democrat Party, as a 2017 study showed that just 32% of Democrats paid their congressional interns, while over half of Republicans did. Jayapal also recently had a meltdown at Republicans following the impeachment vote. Article from last week quotes the Congresswoman saying, with the U.S. Senate voting to acquit President Trump on a pair of impeachment charges, Washington State's own representatives in Congress weighed in with their own reactions. Quote, instead of showing courage, all but one Republican senator today exemplified cowardice, said Democrat Pramila Jayapal, representing Washington's 7th District and serving on the House Judiciary Committee. She went on to say, quote, in putting party and politics over country and Constitution, Republicans drove a stake in the heart of our democracy. So what could happen next with these 3 Democrats and some of their backers like Michael Bloomberg? Seems possible that this could lead to even more, given how much Bloomberg has contributed to the Democrats, not just Lucy McBath, but many other candidates as well. In total, Bloomberg has spent $115 million of his own money in the 2018 election cycle alone to elect Democrats, including about $44 million on House races. Several other Democrat members of Congress he helped to elect have also endorsed his presidential campaign. The offices of all 3 congresswomen did not respond when asked to comment on the complaint. Americans for Public Trust says, we're calling on the Federal Election Commission and the Office of Congressional Ethics to immediately investigate these suspicious activities. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Also, down in the video description are links to my Patreon, or PayPal accounts where you can support this channel directly. Thanks again, a big thank you everybody that has been sharing these videos and sharing the channel with others to help get the information out there. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.